Hey folks, it's Roger without the records this time. If you want to see vinyl records, switch off. Hit dislike, switch off. Go. I'm gonna, get personal here, I guess. This is the third time I've tried to do this. It all starts with this, really, and this is great. This is, again, I'm tooting my own horn here, but I mean, come on. The latest issue of Jazzwise magazine, British magazine, with the great Nicole Mitchell on the cover, great article about her, and there's a review of The Mathematics of War, my latest CD with Sam Bird, and, this package put together by James Buttery with Jeff McLennan's artwork, photographs, and the mathematical contributions of Rob Clark. Really a tremendous experience putting this all together, and I thank you all very much. And getting a review in the actual paper copy of Jazzwise, this very slender magazine. There aren't many magazines around. There's nothing like this in the U.S. anymore. And there's not a lot of real estate in here, so it's a tremendous honor to have my little independent thing reviewed in here. And I want to share something he has to say, because it's really pretty, he gets it. So there it is. I have to say, I kind of teared up when I got this in the mail. Yeah, someone gets it. And anyway, so this is what Spencer Grady has to say. Hey, Spencer, if you're watching. This is so great. He says, "This is unhinged anti-music, toxic and full of untrammeled rage. From two musicians exasperated at their country's continuing paroxysms of illiberal intolerance." Yeah, right on. And he goes on to drop some names. He says, "The duo's caustic flagellations come over like a weaponized take on the Necks, or the suffocating exhaust of a Dead Sea-scented biothreat, banishing howls of sputtering derision as they watch their Liberty Land become a withered myth." Whew, wow. If I read a review of in a magazine, I'd be like, I got to hear that. And, like I said, people are listening. I don't hang out all day watching my stats and worry about it. I don't really care. I mean, of course I care, but it's just interesting to me that and thank you those of you who have bought CDs, and I really appreciate that very much. But compared to Who Doesn't Fade, which people didn't listen to, they just sort of like would go, "Oh, okay, that's cool," and then they buy it. It's like, in this case, it's like people are checking it out. And they're like, I'm not going to do that again. Unhinged anti-music. Anti-music. What does that mean, anti-music? I kind of like that. Because, music is a lot of things, I like to keep my fingers moving by playing, like, Beethoven sonatas, I am a terrible concert pianist, but sometimes music is doing what you're told, or like, I'm not particularly funky either, but like the whole idea of dance is like the groove, like you can't like mess with the groove. You got to do, the purpose is to get people dancing, or, I don't know, singing a song or putting across some folk ballad. There's all kinds of, or like even a McDonald's commercial, or whatever, or like a sweeping film soundtrack. There's all kinds of ways that music comes to be, and different purposes for which it's used that have nothing to do with the notion of art. And I'm going to say something really egotistical here, and it's not like me because I hate myself, but what's going on here is we're not making music. We're making art, and this sort of recoil kind of makes me think that that's right. That, like, some of my favorite art is like, I don't know, and I'm not comparing myself to any of this, but stuff that that elicits that response of like, oh, wow, my 5-year-old could do that. You know, it took me a while to get into like Schoenberg's sound world, you know. It's like, oh, what is, you know, but you know, once you like embrace it, you go, oh, well, and that to me is the difference between like music as, you know, qua music and music as art. And you know, honestly, that's why I'm just gonna say it. Yeah, that's why whatever goes on at my local symphony hall has absolutely nothing to do with art. It's getting butts in the seats and you know, telling people what they want to hear. They're not going to get challenged ever, you know. So I'm not holding myself at, I don't know. When Sam and I get together, we do this in a spirit of joy, actually. So untrammeled rage, yeah, sure, you know, yes, but being expressed with a paintbrush and not a machine gun. And you know, the other thing I want to kind of rant about here is that yeah, it's a CD. Sorry, if you look in, you know, through the reviews here, you know, not the really super big superstars. And, you know, maybe they'll put out vinyl, you know, and there's reissues of dead musicians get the vinyl treatment. Yeah, when you're dead, you'll get the vinyl, you know. But working musicians, they don't put out freaking. And I'm not even a working musician, but they don't put out vinyl. They can't afford it. It's too heavy to go dragging around Europe, you know, where the gigs are, and you're trying to then have to charge $30 for it, you know. It's like a CD. It just makes way more sense. And this like format fetishism is really like getting to me. Like I had to quit. I didn't have to, but I was just, okay, enough Facebook. I had to quit one of the Facebook groups, and because I called someone a format fetishist, and he was like, well, I thought you were a nice guy. And it's like, well, you know what? I'm not a nice guy, really. You know, I'd like to be. I wish things were different. But I mean, you know, when it comes to the Russian mob and Russian bootlegs, and, you know, I know bootlegs and copyright law is really vague and stuff, but, you know, just to have it on vinyl, I mean, when you could get it for free and semi-legitimately, you know, as a digital file, I mean, I don't understand. Anyway, and much less like shit on the CD. You know, I've had people say, CD, yeah, why not a cassette? I'm like, because cassettes suck. But analog, and oh my god. I don't know. Again, it's format fetishes. What does that have to do with music? Nothing. You know, I tried to cut up this 45-minute piece into a vinyl thing, but it was like it didn't divide in half. I could do it in thirds, and then that's a double, and then I have a fourth side I have to deal with. It would be so expensive, and no one cares. And it would be, you know, I'd have to charge $30 of it for it, and who's gonna do that? And then people turn up their noses at CD. I'd buy a cassette. A cassette. My God. And then it's like, you know what? I had a little run-in with a VC luminary some time ago, you know, that was really eye-opening to me. That, you know, it's like, oh, OG. So it's like not even about analog for some folks. It's like, I've gotten a really nicely done, I think it's out of print by this point, but a really nicely done reissue of, you know, this beautiful rare record from the late 80s, right? All analog, pressed at 45 RPM. So, and this luminary is like, oh, that's a great record. I'm looking for an OG. And I'm like, yeah, but, you know, I went on Discogs and it was for like 87, and it proudly said, you know, digitally mastered. You know, remember? Most of you maybe aren't old enough, but that's what they would put in the, you know, ooh, digital was new and digitally mastered. And so I'm like, yeah, but this is all analog and pressed at 45, and I bet it blows away that original. No, I want the OG. And I was like, well, okay, you know, that's fine. You know, record collecting is sort of like stamp collecting in a lot of ways, and I'm guilty of it as much as anyone. You know, I have records that I don't play. I have records that I have just because I want to have them. but you know, it all falls apart when it's like, oh, all analog, man, or you know, an OG just to be like, oh, it's rare, and I have this rare thing, and what I want is the rare thing, not necessarily what's on it. I want the rare thing, and that's a kind of fetishism that I just think has nothing to do with art. I'm not even sure it has anything to do with music, and so, but here we are. Anyway, one more thing I want to say before I go, and maybe this just shows my ignorance, but YouTube, you know how it says, oh, maybe you'd like to watch this. These algorithms that say, oh, maybe you want to watch this, and I discovered there's a whole parallel YouTube vinyl community wherein there's this one guy who has 45,000 subscribers, and his videos have tens of thousands of views. I mean, shit, the VC I knew about, you know, Derek was the big fish with maybe 10,000 subscribers. And then, like, you know, most of us maybe around 1,000, and then a whole other world, you know. 45,000 subscribers. I'm like, okay, I'll check this out. See, here I'm going to get myself in trouble. And, you know, I guess all I'm going to say about this is, whoa, did you guys know about this? I was looking at some comments and I recognized one name, someone who did. But, you know, again, it was like telling people, giving people what they want as opposed to, I don't know, what they need. or, you know, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't even go into it. I've tried to make this video so many times. Did I thank you, John Kiefer, for the idea of putting bitters in the bourbon? That's, wow, I'm not a big mixed drink person, but that's really nice. And did you know that Woodford Reserve has their own very expensive brand of, you know, bitters? Don't know about that. Yeah, so a little bit of a buzz. Thank you, Spencer, for putting me in the same company as Nicole Mitchell. I know I'm not worthy. I know it probably pisses people off that, who's this guy? Good question. But again, I want to thank Jeff and James and Rob for making this what it is. And I'm going to shut up about it from now on, and I'll be back to showing records. At some point, there's a record show on Sunday, so yeah, I'll be getting more vinyls. I will. Alright, bye.